One. Hi, and hi, good evening. This is Bradley Chapman at Yes You Can, Inspired to Achieve. We're going live this evening, and we've got the great pleasure to be joined by a fabulous guy, Sean Mulroney, the founder of Teams of America. Now, while Facebook's doing its thing and it's building its audience, I'm just going to do a quick introduction about Sean, a quick introduction about Sean and what he's been doing, and a quick introduction and setting the scene for Teams of America. Now, if you are joining us and you're just coming online, thank you very much indeed for myself and from Sean. If you can help us, please, to share the message, please share the link with any friends and family members that you think can benefit this evening from any children that are suffering from challenges within their childhood, so depression, anxiety, drugs, any addictions and afflictions where they've got a challenge, because this guy this evening is going to really help the kids. Well, he's helping the kids in America, and he's going to help the kids over here, and we're really keen to move this forward. So I want to introduce you to Sean. I spoke to him earlier today for a brief while, and I must admit I was absolutely touched, and I was compelled to act. And this has come off the back of speaking with Jesse Kay last night, which was a great interview, the founder of 20 under 20s. And again, we had another connection last night with a guy called Dave Embody, and it ended up leading me to Sean Mulroney, the founder of Teams of America. So first of all, I just wanted to introduce you to Sean. Sean's coming to us all the way from Missouri in USA. There's a 6-hour time difference. And what I would say to you if you're watching is this: from the UK, if you're a parent or if you've got a young kid that's got a challenging situation, I personally don't think that any family in the UK and around the world, with somewhere within their relations, their immediate blood, or a close relation, somebody's got a challenge with a child, even an adult, that's suffering from some psychological problems, some mental anguish, which is preventing them from becoming the person they are, preventing them from becoming the diamond that they could be. I'm now going to introduce you to Sean. Is an amazing guy, and bear with us on this interview because we're going to have some fun, some inspiration, as well as some really open truths and honesty from Sean and from myself about our lives and what Sean's doing with Teams of America. So let me just pass across, and we're going to ask our very first question for Sean and introduce him now. And we're going to ask Sean very succinctly, what is Teams of America? So welcome, Sean, to the show. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Really great to have you. I'm uber inspired. So let's kick off with what is the Teams of America?
Well, Bradley, thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing me to the UK. And I just want to say I'm honored and extremely thankful to talk to you and love your spirit, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's like we knew each other from across the pond, and I feel like I'm in the UK right now. So thank you. So I'm honored, man.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So you asked
me share
a question. You know, you asked a question about Teams of America. You know, we are a nonprofit that helps with drug, alcohol, violence prevention, bullying, suicide, anything that's plaguing our teens is what we want, and that's the essence of it. Of course, Teens of America, which not only just limiting us, but I started in the United States. My whole idea is teens have problems all over the world. I mean, there's the statistics are staggering. Especially when 1 in 4 teenagers have a suicide plan before their senior year. Things that we try to help is help parents understand teens, and then help teenagers understand themselves. So everybody talks about the negative. Everybody likes to curse the darkness and tell how bad teenagers are, or they're a nuisance, or they're lazy. Well, that may be, but we can't lump them all into one. I believe in giving hope and having a message of hope. That's what Teens of America is about giving teenagers a reason and a hope that they can go on, that they don't have to use substance, they don't have to use drugs, they don't have to use alcohol, the bullying, they don't have to take their life. Mental illness is running rampant, and it's a true thing. There's too many stigmas on that. So we're trying to reach them while they're young and give them the stability that they need. And of course, my whole mission is to bring parents and teenagers back together again. There's been that breach of separation that nobody wants to talk about. Teenagers are 20 steps ahead of their parents, and parents are back there. Well, what is Snapchat? What is Instagram? Well, I tell parents all the time, you better know what your teenagers are up against. So the essence of Teens of America is to help parents understand teens and teenagers understand themselves.
No, absolutely fantastic. I mean, the website looks absolutely stunning. It's fantastic. And I put the website link up earlier. Gary Burton's joined us online. Hi, Gary, and good evening to you. And again, Mike Allison joined us as well. Gary's a principal trainer for the 3 principals, and he's training under, he's learning from a guy called Dr. Dick Bettinger, a really talented guy. I've done that guy for about 15 or 20 years. I've worked for him personally, a great guy. And Mike Allison, I also know as well, owns a technology company. About to launch a new business. All of these guys have got kids, and they know, what it's about. I wanted to jump into the real nitty gritty of kids have done. I really want to get into the deep of it, so we can understand. I mean, just to set the scene, so you all can just bear with us during this interview. Teens of America is a platform that's rebuilding a broken generation in America. Now, as we travel to schools all across the US, there's a radio show on Teens of America that's getting 5,000 downloads a week. There's 100,000 viewers. He now has all of these hosts that are hosting different shows. The podcast is fantastic. Sean's got a site where he's brought forward and talking about obesity. He's getting hits on his page about obesity. There's out of this world 50, 60, 70,000, 100,000 hits, 500,000 hits. A million hits or so across his videos. This guy, as we get into this interview, you're going to really appreciate how open this guy is, how comfortable he is. And I tell you, you have to look past what you first see. Because the man that's sitting there, I look in his eyes, I see an angel. I see an angel that's helping people, that's had a challenge in life and is converted. So I want to get straight into, what teams do you help and why. I want to really get into the nitty-gritty of the challenges that children face and life. And also, I'm going to talk to you a little bit later on about something you've done where you've helped save something like 100 kids from suicide. But let's go straight into, what teams do you help and why? And again, viewers, please fire away, ask questions, put questions across, get involved in a discussion, ask a question. Don't be afraid. You could be asking for someone you know. It could be a friend's children. It could be a family. Don't be afraid. There is a stigma attached to mental illnesses. But I'm telling you, and many people will agree with this, it's growing, it's getting worse, it's getting tougher. And we've got to find a way to help support it and try and cure and get people out into the open where they can become the real them. And I feel quite passionate about it. Okay, Sean, what sort of teams do you help and why?
Well, Bradley, the teenagers that we want to, help is across the board. There's the teenagers that are making bad choices, and there's the teenagers that are doing something positive. They're wanting to give back. They're wanting to do this. So I always say this, that, when somebody in teenagers are looking for somebody to invest in them, and here in America, teenagers make up about 31% of our population, but I always tell them they're 100% of our future. So we're investing in the future is what we're doing. If we don't give in to them, because in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to be leaving the impressionable teenage years of life and going into adulthood. And if we don't give them an anchor that they can be anchored to, and that we don't become a lighthouse to stop them from going down the bad paths that they're going down and crashing into the suicide or the drug addiction. So what we do is help. And I always say this to every teenager I come in contact with, is that you can make any choice you want to. You can choose to do drugs. You can choose to underage drink. You can choose to text and drive. You can choose to bully somebody, but the choice is yours, but not the consequence. So what I try to do, with all the things that we're doing, Bradley, is we try to create a positive environment, that peer-to-peer based attitude. So the ones that are doing good, they should be pulling people up. And the only time we should ever look down on somebody is whenever we're trying to reach down and help them up. And I want to create that, which is, in essence, that's what the STAND chapter is students turning against negative decisions, STAND. And what we're trying to do is to have them to stand up, step in, and speak out. If they see something that's going on and they're a teenager, because teenagers don't talk to adults as they once did, and it's been that way. So what we're trying to do is create a peer-to-peer base, and even on a radio show where we have 10 different teen co-hosts, and they're doing that positive voice and giving them the voice and giving them validation. So what we're trying to do is create that positive. How do you get rid of the negative? You don't focus on that. We're going to create the positive, and how can you get rid of negativity is by replacing it with the positivity. How do you get rid of the darkness? You put a light in the room. So our thing is that we've helped last year through our text line, helped over 100 young people that were in the process or very close to taking their own life. Now, that just my heart just leaves out. But think of all the other ones that were missing. I mean, that's a small number of teenagers where between 15 and 19-year-olds, suicide is a third leading cause of teens in America, and that it goes all over the place. So how 100 teens compared to the percentage that there's a third leading cause, and 1 in 4 teens have a suicide plan. Well, we're going to have a global takeover to create a safety net to get people engaged to say, okay, youth aren't a nuisance. And that's what I'm trying to do, is change that stigma that they're not just playing video games, although some of them do, and there's nothing wrong with that, but creating a positive environment for a teen-to-teen based peer group that says, okay, you don't have to do that. If this teenager can do it, so can you. Bottom line.
I mean, talking to that. Guys, if you're listening, you want to ask a question to Sean, and as the interview unfolds, you'll feel more comfortable. We'll keep asking questions until you feel comfortable to ask a question. How Sean is helping the teens of America to go from destitute, to go from a state of in a real low place in terms of their psychological, mental understandability and feelings, to taking them to great. This is quite inspiring. Sean, you've got this text line, this support line for people that were committing suicide, and on the top end of the website, you've got these people speaking, you've got these people talking. 2 months ago, I was on the judging panel, something in the UK, which is called the Speak Out Challenge, and it's sponsored by a guy called Sir Jack Petchy. And this is every school in the country can compete, and all the kids, they come on stage and they get like 90 seconds to give the speech and topic. Being like you with helping children to speak. But before you answer that, what's the suicide helpline, and how many people have you helped to move away from suicide? Because I mean, it's admirable what you're doing. Try and explain to our viewers how you're helping people do that, to go from this poor state to great and saving them from suicide. Which I was in tears earlier. I've got to be honest with you.
Well, what we do, Bradley, is that I am partnered with key people that are counselors, that are professionals, because I don't consider myself a teen expert. I consider myself a teen resource expert, if you will.
Sure.
My thing is that they get to us to where the text line, or they reach out for help, because kids don't usually do it vocally, or they don't want to call. They want to text, or they want to send a message. They want to Instagram, send something on Instagram. They're not on Facebook as much as they used to be. They're on Snapchat or this. So I think we need to be everywhere that they're at. And so with the text line, we'll get 100 messages a week. I mean, just like that. Yet, sometimes more. And
how are you dealing with that? I mean, how are you coping with that amount of calls? I mean, that's an astonishing number. I know we're going to move on to the really motivating side of the business in a second, but this is how do you cope with that? How are you dealing with
that? The grace of God. I don't know. I mean, it's I have a really good team that's starting to form, but I need to have initiative to where more people come in. That we have a strategic launch, that I'm going to have more people that are manning it. And of course, you have to scale it down. You got to get more funding. You got to do this, because I want to have it to where I have multiple people 24/7. And it ain't just me and 2 others. And that's what I do, is I have to sometimes, last night, answering a message at 2:30 last night. And that's when teenagers are in the desperation mode. And then they reach out, and then what we'll do is get them somewhere and even if we have to get the authorities there to help them out there. It's overwhelming to say the least, Bradley, and not enough
Yeah,
people want to get in that.
yeah, I get that. I mean, I spoke about your global plans. I mean, if anyone that's watching, thank you for joining in. Please feel free to ask a question. I know it's a taboo subject, so I'm just going to keep asking questions that Sean's more than happy to answer. This is a tough job. You know, this is not one of those interviews where, you know, it's inspiring and it's absolutely this is someone who's changing lives, saving lives, and putting lives onto a top platform. Teens of America. I look at your logo. The website people have got, you know, it's teensofamerica.net. I look at your logo and I see Teens of America and what you're doing, and I've looked at your website, so I'm looking deeper into you than just this interview. What's your plans for Teens of America? Because I believe you go to Teens of United Kingdom, Teens of UK, you go to any country in the world could be an offshoot of this. But well, where do you see this global opportunity? Because surely there is, because children everywhere across the world need help.
Yes, well, you think about it, Bradley. You said it. Teenagers right now, it's a global pandemic. You know, young people are in trouble. They need somebody to invest in them. They need a message of hope, and they don't need to just be written off. And they want somebody that's going to listen. And you know, we've been I raised up. You and I are the same age. We rose up in that generation where, hey, little kids.
29.
Yes, right. And, that's right, Brad. And you think about it. You think about it. We little kids are to be seen, not heard mentality. Or you got two ears and one mouth. You know, you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. Well, that's true.
Sure.
But I think it's good for adults. We have two ears and one mouth, and I think that what teenagers need today is somebody, as us as adults and parents. They need us sometimes to pipe down and listen up to people that we see where they're coming from, and then give them an individual plan of attack, not a cookie cutter. And that's but everybody has this herd mentality. Well, let's quit worrying about the herd and let's start focusing on the individual, which in essence goes across the globe. And I don't want just Teens of America. I want teens of the world, teens of UK, you know, teens of Mexico, teens of Canada. My thing is that we need to do a teens of America, teens of the world takeover. That these kids like Jesse K, who is incredible, who is one of our co-hosts, and you had him on. This kid, he's a rock star. You know, these other, you know, ones that we have a Mason, Devin, Ella. You know, we have all these, Cassandra Perkins. You know, all these ones that, you know, from the BU Heroes. You know, you mentioned Dave Body. It's an
Sure.
And we got 10 co-hosts, and then plus many more that want to be there. And we get, hey, can I be on the show? Can I be on the show? Well, we've had teenagers come on the show that had a story of that where they tried to take their life, or they were dealing with substance abuse, and then they got free of it by coming under and getting a voice, and then it gave them a whole other avenue that said, man, this is the first time somebody gave me hope. Well, that's what teenagers are looking for. They're not looking for us that we don't understand them. And, you know, that song back in the 90s that, you know, the Fresh Prince, you know, Will Smith put out back in the day, parents just don't understand. Well, yeah, parents don't understand because they choose not to understand. So, yeah, it's a breach.
Well, what do you think is, I mean, obviously, you know, we all need therapy. Whatever our therapy is, we need therapy. We all need therapy.
Yes.
And so far, what sort of forms of therapy, counselling have you explored with the teams that you've helped before they've got to the stage where they're being, you know, uber motivated, successful, pleased and proud of the skin they're in and who they are?
Yes.
Counselling. What are you finding is the best counselling? What sort of counselling would you say is helping kids? Because there's so many different counselling programs, process, methods, you know, that can help kids. What do you think's that's working the best at the moment? And do you think there's something that could be added? Do you think that individuals react to different types of counselling?
I think that's incredible, Bradley, what you asked there. You know, you think about it that they are looking for a channel, if you will. They're vent up. You get. Here's the thing. Let me say this: if the world is yet to see if a teenager that if you turn them loose is what they're looking for, that individuality to where they don't get lumped up, and peer pressure is terrible. Whether negative or positive, most of the time peer pressure is bad. And the thing I say to everybody is you are or soon will be exactly what your friends are. You're going to go that way. You tell me your friends, I'll tell you your future. So what I'm saying to this is that what they need is an avenue to where they feel like they fit in. We could do any program.
Their own unique individual. They need to be their own unique individual self rather than emulating somebody else's. They've got to be congruent with their own values.
Correct.
To be themselves, the true themselves. Otherwise, they're going down the fake path of not realizing who they are, what they stand for, what they could be. Is that fair?
Yes, very fair.
Is that fair to say?
They feel like they fit. If they feel like they fit, it'll back them into a mold. And we do that a lot. I mean, we have done it. And if we don't get who they are unique and accept them for who they are, I've had many teenagers come across my door. And one thing that they can never say about me is that, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Bottom line. So we say we care, but if we don't listen to them and we don't give them, something and give them the resources and the tools that they need, then they're going to go down. They're walking aim. There are arrows, Bradley, and all we have to do with the arrows that we have is aim them in the right direction. They're looking for direction, and some of them don't need to be held by the hand. Some of them just need to say, "Okay, go ahead. Here's your target." And so, what I felt is what's been great in far as working with teens is listening to them and finding out where they are and let them locate themselves. And then come up with an individual plan that is fit and met for them, and we can go all about everything. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, sure. But I completely agree with that. I'm not a counsellor, but I think each human being is individual, and I believe with counselling that not one process with everyone. I think there has to be there can be a program, but I think that program has to be shaped slightly to be able to get the individual person to be open. Once they're open, you can start to talk to them, and for them to realise and see some of the things that they can change to turn their life from a negative into a positive. And it can be done. I know there's a guy listening, if he's still on, is Gary Burton. Gary works with the 3 principles. And I must admit, when I spoke to Gary a few months ago, and I spoke about the 3 principles, it had a profound effect on the way that I was thinking and dealing with inside out rather than outside in. Because I'm an emotional guy, and anybody that knows me will say, Bradley, you let your emotions lead you. And I went through some challenges a few years ago, and I kept having these flashbacks and all these challenges. It was painful. And, I've been learning progressively, steadily, progressively, that actually it's not letting the outside influence how I feel on the inside. It's letting the inside, making sure that I control and deal with my outside. So me, the inside of me and how I think, and what I'm thinking, and how I, deal with the process and how I choose to act upon that determines what's on the outside. Yeah. Surely we've got to find something like that to understand that actually it's cool to be thinking the way that they are. What the emotions are going through head of me. Gary's just got a question now on the screen. I'm going to put it up. And what he's saying is, truly listening is always the key, and letting them know that they are not broken. What do you say to that, Sean? What would you say to Gary?
Man, you know what, Gary? That is right on. That is spot on. Because if we don't listen and we ramble on, and if we don't have that listening key and letting them know that they are broken. And if we don't accept them for them being broken too, that's the other thing. We always want somebody to be perfect. We're in that, that state of mind that we're always trying to make something out of them and want them to be, and they can't. So you think about it. The brain, okay, it is not fully developed until you're 21 to 25 years of age. So I always say this about teenagers. They have a Ferrari accelerator and a go-kart brake. They they go so fast, but they can't slow down. And
Yeah.
that's why the prefrontal cortex that is not developed, that their way to ration on if this is wise or if it's not wise, they can't do it. And that's why they need us to govern them and listen to them. And part of governing is listening more than anything. And part of a great counselor is listening to somebody rather than telling them and giving them advice that's over and above that what we are. So they have a great, they got a great, but pedal to the metal. But you know what? Them to slow down, it's very hard. So we better listen and let them locate, and we need to locate where they're at and make sure that when they're broken, we need to accept them for who they are.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think you should hook up with Gary Burton after the show, or get connected and you guys have a chat, because I know Gary's quite awesome at what he does. I've known Gary for a long time, and he had a massive impact on me. We had a meeting where we was going to be talking about one thing, and we ended up talking for 3 hours about the emotions and the three principles. And 3 hours had gone past, and we didn't know we were talking 3 hours. But I left and I thought, what a great meeting! It's like one of those days where you're at work, where it's like it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock already. You go, oh my gosh, what's happening? I need more time. I need more time.
Right,
the day's gone so quickly. You guys should definitely hook up with Gary. Fantastic, great question. We've got Shirley Connolly. Oh, Shirley, Shirley, do you have a question? Do you wanna ask Sean? Please do fire away, and thanks for joining us. I wanted to ask you, Sean, how parents can help their kids and teens that are suffering similar life challenges. What should they do? I mean, I've got so many friends that their children are challenged. I've got challenges. Listen, I've got challenges. I'm an adult. We've all got challenges, but I know a lot of parents have got kids with ADD. I was talking to someone yesterday about a kid with ADD, and in fact, we interviewed Jesse last night, and as you know, Jesse's got ADD. How do the parents recognize and help their kids to say, look, have you seen Teens of America? This is something you can get involved with. How do the parents very gently help with love, support, and care, give their kids that gentle cuddle lift to help them from a delicate place, into Teens of America, where I know you can do so much work to elevate them like you're doing. What do the parents do?
Well, first thing I always say, Bradley, is they need to get educated. Every adult needs to get educated on what makes them tick. You read, books if you have to, you speak to people, and you get to know what and helps them and makes them tick. And if you don't get educated, you think about this. Let me say social media, for instance. I always say this, that teenagers are 20 steps ahead of their parents. Parents are left in the dirt. They just said, I've heard parents say, oh, my kids are on all that social media, I'm not on it. They can do whatever they want to. But here's what I say to that. Okay, if the teenagers are 20 steps ahead, then even online, the predators and people out there are 20 steps ahead of the kids. That's why you got human sex trafficking. That's why you got, all these things, which is a pandemic. It's not just in a third world country. It's happening in America. It's a $32 billion a year industry, human sex trafficking. Now think about this. Now that's a big number. It makes more than Starbucks, the NHL, and the NFL combined. Okay, here in America. Now, and it's astronomical. So people that don't, if adults and parents don't get educated on what's going on, and if I heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. If I wish I knew then what I know now, or my son and daughter wouldn't have went down that path, or that wouldn't have happened. And I've heard every parent on the other side that had a tragedy happen with their with their teen daughter or their teen son. So my thing is this: here's social media, and what I say to parents. St. Louis, I live right just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. I have a 6-year-old, I have a 3-year-old, and I have a 6-month-old. Okay, that's my 3 kids. I would not take my 6-year-old and put her in the middle of St. Louis at 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I would not leave her there in that at all. But what's happening? The World Wide Web is like a city that's set on edge, if you will. So why are parents letting their kids? They won't put them in the middle of a city at midnight or after in the wee hours of the morning, but they'll let their kids go on the internet without them monitoring them. And if you don't do that, then you know what? You are putting them in a dangerous spot. And that's what's happening. That their kids are meeting people, and the teenagers want these numbers. They want to have, all these viewers. There's YouTube sensations. There's social media sensations. They have millions of followers, thousands of followers. And what parents are doing, they're oblivious to it. So I would not put my daughter down in the middle of St. Louis, Missouri, or any city for that. So why would I let her be on social media by herself without monitoring and knowing who her friends are? And another thing too, why do parents let them friend somebody that they don't know and have any communication with?
Yeah,
that's
sure.
The other side of the thing.
Let me interject and ask a question there. I mean, you're saying, right, so parents can be oblivious to some of the things that's going on. I think there's more to it than that. And I could be wrong, but I mean, let me share my thoughts on this, because we're afraid to ask questions. I'm not. We're doing an interview. It's an open interview. Any parent can ask any question. We'll deal with it. But I think also there's a lot of parents that they're so aware of what's going on in their kids' lives,
yes,
and they've tried to help them. As parents do, you never stop helping your children. My mum's been there for me since I was a boy. She's still there. Ups, my downs. I've been up, down, left, sideways in my life. The one constant has been my mama, my lovely Jojo, my children. But the women and the mums, they're always there. But there's times where you want to help an individual. And this has happened to me when my mum has wanted to help me, but she's not going to help me. Same for my missus. And I think parents, they do want to help their children. And they are aware of it, and they know what's happening. The parents are hurting inside, and they feel in pain, but they don't quite know the way to approach their child or their teen child, because every time they do, they get shut down. So they don't quite know. And if a parent could be given a magic wand to their brain and say, parent, that's the way to do it. That's the way how we get them engaged and enjoying life. The parents would be so relieved. I know that from my own experience. So educating the parents to help the kids is fantastic, to make the awareness of things like Teens of America, where you're all coming in, you're all open, you've all got challenges, you're all open about them, and then you're starting from a position of trust straight away with your peers within Teens of America, because everybody's had a challenge. We're together on this. We've all had challenges. So what? Let's work as a collective. Let's bring ourselves together. Let's not fear our challenges, our childhood, or our mental problems, our addictions or afflictions. Let's now move forward together and find the real them. But it's getting them to Teens of America. It's getting them to feel not embarrassed, that it's not a stigma attached to it. And there is a stigma attached to it. People are afraid to ask questions in Islam, and the questions will come in left, right, and centre with Jesse, because it's about this, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's interviewing this one and that one, and it's all lovely, easy, juicy stuff. This is the hardest possible thing, to help people where there is a stigma attached to it, because it's tough. People are so afraid to share with that stigma, or to say, listen, I feel unwell. I never ever actually thought that I'd suffer from something like depression or some kind of situation where I'd be really down on myself, but I have. I can remember being on the floor, not wanting to get up. I can remember foam coming out of my mouth. I can remember that actually I was struggling to get back up, but a voice inside me said, get up, stand up, you've got to do this. And you found the strength. Not everybody has got that in their voice, because some stay down. You don't deserve to get up. So we have to show them that angels are within Teens of America like yourselves. It's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to have had challenges. It's okay, because now you can turn that into what you call the superhero, the superpower. It's your superpower, and use that.
Yeah.
So, like Gary says, we've got to keep listening to the kids. Now, you've spoken about this forever in schools. Tell the audience a bit more about, hey, Julian, hi, good evening, and thanks for joining. Shirley Connolly, thank you to you. Thanks for joining. And Therese, I think Therese is listening as well. She's just shared the post. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to Gary Burton. Thank you to Mike Allison for joining us. Thank you, guys. And please do put up a message on the screen. Say hello. Introduce yourself. Let us know you're there. Send a couple of those hearts across the screens, or whatever it is you do there to say thanks. Share the video if you can. Talk to us about the the school, Sean. I want to come on to your other program you're doing right now, which is with regards to obesity. And I've got to say, I have nothing but admiration and respect for you for what you're doing. Tell me what you say in these schools. What do you say when you're going around all these schools?
Sure. Well, what I do is number one, I share my life experience where I've been. I think that resonates, real life stories that can help these young people to what they're up against. And whenever they see, I call myself a billboard of poor choices. Okay. I'm the result of who I am. The tragedies of adulthood are born in the thought patterns of your youth. I went in and I share with them, number one, my heart. Teenagers have a built-in lie detector. They know if you're genuine or you're not. They know if you're giving them the business. They know if you are genuinely concerned about their welfare. So, with all that said and done, what I do is I go in there and explain to them, hey, this is what the cause is, this is what the effect is, and this is your choice, this is your consequence. And whenever I go in there, at the end of the assembly, we have a pledge-based program, and we have them fill out a stand pledge, which is, like I told you, that's students turning decisions.
Sure.
And we have an 85 to 90% success rate of the students that come up, and what they do is when they pledge that, when they make that pledge, what they're doing is saying, going into think about this. Let me sort of, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what we want to do is, what my goal is, to go in there and create a teen-driven, positive peer pressure environment inside the school. So think about this. I think we as adults and we as public speakers got it backwards. We think we're going to go in there and we're going to give them an incredible, flowery, eloquent speech, and they'll cry, or we tell them compelling stories, which we should. But we go in there, we give them these stories, and then we leave. After we leave, what's happening? We're not leaving them with the tools, and the follow-up is key, Bradley. The follow-up is it. Not me coming in there, but me creating that stand solution that it's on you now, students, to change the environment of your school. It's not up to me. It's not up to your principal. It's not up to your parents. It's up to you.
It starts with you. It starts with you.
And if you don't do it, nobody else is. Who's going to stop bullying? You are. Who's going to stop the drug addiction? You are. Who's going to stop everything that's going on? You are. And if you don't stand up, step in, and speak out, then there's nothing going to happen. So whenever I leave here, we don't want you to be here just a week or a month after to remember this. We want you to create that change in your school, and it's up to you. It's personal responsibility 101. And if you don't change it, nobody else will. And you can't blame anybody. You're either a victim or you're a victor. It's your choice. The consequence is that's what's happening. Let me say this. I've had students, and who really inspired me, he's in Pepperdine University, a young man named Jeremiah Anthony. Jeremiah, you know what he did? He said Twitter was going crazy, okay? And what he did, he was a junior in high school at this time. In Twitter, people want to use it, and what I always say is, don't spread curses, spread compliments. So you can spread curses all you want to, and you can call somebody and hide behind a computer screen and hide behind a phone. It's easy to do that. So what Jeremiah did, you know what he did? He created a Twitter account, okay? And what he did was he created a compliments account in his school, his whole school. He would compliment every student. It went up to like 900 people, okay? Within 24 hours, Bradley, it went up to 100,000. The Today Show came and interviewed him. Good Morning America.
Really?
Yes. That's
fantastic.
And I talked to the
positive.
I talked to the principal. Listen to this. This cranks me up. I mean, this makes me want to charge hell with a squirt gun. He said this. Here's what he did. He came to the point, and the principal. I talked to the principal. He said that changed our whole environment of the school. Kids were in the hallways complimenting each other. Go get them. Go do this. Go do that. And you know what? If Jeremiah, he was the one that did it, not an adult, not me. not the principal, not the parents. It was the students. So guess what? It's our job to empower them and to give them the sword so that they can fight off and ward off the negative things that are happening to their generation. That's what it's about. Boom, out of here, hit a home run. That's it. That's a truth bomb right there. Period.
That's just a fantastic story. Am I echoing on my mic? Is it okay, my sound?
Yeah, you're good. You sound good, real good.
Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, I lost video speed. Okay, so listen, we're going to ask again. Please do pass across your questions. If you've got questions, Mary, thank you for your comment. That's very kind of you, Angel, and thank you for joining us. Gary Burton said, "Brilliant, Sean. When they see how much you care, they will connect with the kids." Gary understands this intuitively, which is why I think you guys have got to hook up. Teresa says hi. Teresa's a friend of the lady I know, lovely lady, beautiful family, kids, grandkids, been through their own challenges, still smiling, still pushing, and still driving. Welcome you at their home anytime, even if they're going for adversity. Come and have dinner. Lovely family. Julian, excellent there. Hi, Julian, how you doing? It's been a long while. I hope you're well, buddy. Shirley Connolly, and again, good evening to you. Keep the questions coming. Mike's just come in. Mike Allison, business owner, telecoms business owner. Mike's saying humbling stuff, guys. Sean, you're a positive force. Great job. Mike, that's a great comment. Sean, say a quick hello to my company, which is launching a new business actually on the 4th of July. Mike's actually a really humble guy as well, Sean. But yeah, say hi to Mike, Sean.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much. That humbles me, you saying that, and I'm honored. Just doing the job, and that means a lot. Big time.
Yeah, that's great, Mike. And Mike's been supporting us the last couple of evenings as well. So listen, let's move on to something else again. We've spoken about the global thought of Teens America, Teens UK, Teens France.
Let's do it.
Listen, you want to get this out there, and I feel that the stage you're at, you put so much energy into it. But listen, I want to now share. I want to ask you to share something about yourself, because when we spoke earlier, you shared with me the story of your life from 6 years of age to what happened to you, and how you changed it around, and most recently what you're now doing on obesity and coming out and helping people that are overweight, people like me. Hold on, I've got jeans on, but trust me, I'm overweight. Look at that bad boy, right? Yeah. Okay.
You know what? Hey, Bradley. You know what? You're a centered individual. You're a balanced individual. Your bubble's in the middle.
That's right. As my missus would say, too many bacon sandwiches and too much chocolate, right? And Llewellyn Davis, I got to work that off. But right, I want you to share. I really want you to share. I'm going to ask you about your background. Let me just get the. Okay, so there we go. So you've been so open about obesity and your webpage and what you're doing. This is another webpage. So not only did you deal with the challenges from a younger age, which you can share with the audience in a minute if you want to, and I know you will, because you're humble. You're doing what you're doing now. You then told me the story of some infections and problems you've had, the weight that you put on. Now you do this obesity thing, and it's having major impacts. So not only you're helping teens overcome their fear from addictions, afflictions, turning into great. You've now got this obesity thing, which I can't believe. Please share with the audience what you've done from 6 years of age to taking us right up to this thing that you're doing with I am Sean Mulroney on Facebook.
Well, Bradley, whenever I was 6, that's whenever I first tried, marijuana, alcohol, 6 and 7 years of age. By the time I was 13, I was addicted. I was hooked. Through 13 to 21 years of age, I was living fast, and usually when people live fast, they die young. And I got that cravings. I had addictive personality. Went down the wrong roads, a whole lot of roads, and just things that I shouldn't have got involved with. I did. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. Had an incredible. I wouldn't change my past for anything. By the way, let me preface that. I would not change my past, and people ask me that all the time, and I wouldn't. I am who I am because of things and the choices that I made, but I want to use my life as a stepping stone, not as a stumbling block, to bring people down and go with people and how they're operating. So what happened, I got out of that lifestyle. And the one thing I say all the time is, the tragedies of my adulthood are born in the thought patterns of my youth. It's the essence of my life. So me getting out of that, and of course I got out of that lifestyle whenever I was 20, getting ready to turn 21. Actually, in 1991, I graduated high school in 90. For a year, I played sports in high school. I played in a band. I was a drummer. We did pretty well. I'm from originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Played all over clubs and stuff all the way through my teen years. That was my passion. Drums. Yeah, that's exactly right. Uh, I did everything under the sun that you could think. I mean, I lived a full life up until I was 21 years of age. Well, you think, man, it's never going to catch up to you, and you hear people say, "Well, you're not an exception to the rule. It could happen to you." I've had friends that have died from suicide, drug addiction, and as well as a drinking and driving accident. So the thing that when the light went on was when a friend of mine, we were talking. He took me under his wing. His name's Brad Cranston, and we are the sum of the people who invest in us. We have mentors, and I would not be where I'm at if I didn't have the people that invested in me. So that's why I want to give back, and that's what Teens of America is about. So he told me, well, what if that happened to you? You're not an exception to the rule. So it sort of hit me upside the head. And, my mother I always put my mother through a lot of things because of things I was doing. But the light bulb went on. I turned my life around, got out of that, not thinking that, nothing was going to catch up to me. Well, it did catch up to me in a big thing. So fast forward a little bit after getting out of that, getting clean, getting away from that kind of environment. And I went down the road a little bit, and I went through, fast forwarded. I got married in 1998, married my wife, incredible. Jess is my life. She's been a great encourager to me, helped me out tremendously. Well, I always carried weight and always struggled with, being overweight, even when a child, and, childhood obesity is big. And, I say this, there is great strength in vulnerability. People don't want to be vulnerable, and they don't want to put themselves out there because that's pride. It's sometimes a pride issue, and we never get total victory over something until we face and embrace where we've been and what we've done. Well, I'm in the 300s at that time, pounds. When I got married, I was functioning. I was able to. Everything was good. Well, I didn't think, nothing of it, that, eating bad, eating poorly, when you give up that addiction, you sort of have to replace it with something. And what it is food. So I wouldn't eat breakfast. I'd eat, bad hours of the night, even traveling, because I traveled all over the place. You eat fast food, you get this. I was a big, pop junkie. I loved Pepsi. I loved, my sugar. So I replaced that with all that. So what happened was I didn't realize.
Instead of taking drugs and that side of things, you're now munching away. You're eating away. You're changing one habit to another, and it's going to food.
Yes,
it's comforting, isn't it? I mean, I know. Look at me.
Yeah, you did. Exactly. You replace it, and I got furniture's disease. My chest fell into my drawers. That's what happened. So, that's why I always say my chest was okay, but then it fell into my pants. So, all that I had to realize that I didn't realize how much of an effect it did to my body at a young age. No child should ever put drugs to their lips. No child. I mean, no child should ever be addicted like I was, or around the environments that I was. But I was. I grew up fast. Grew up on the streets of Pittsburgh, was able, street smart, type thing. Well, I didn't think that anything about it, but later on, I was 2000, I was in Louisiana speaking, and I got a fever out of the blue. I thought, man, I looked on my leg, inside of my leg, it was like I thought I got bit by a spider. It was red and very warm to the touch. Well, I was speaking. I was taking some, Excedrin. I was, taking Tylenol just to get the fever down so I could get up on stage to speak, because I was real like a flu-y type symptoms. And I noticed, and I went, and there was a nurse And I said, hey, what is this? And she sure enough said that's looks like you got some, it's not a spider bite. She said, why don't you go before I was flying out from Louisiana back to Missouri. And she said, why don't come into the doctor's office tomorrow? I'll make an appointment for you. And sure enough, I had cellulitis, never had it before. Well, cellulitis comes because it's a skin infection, and your lymph system is what fights your infections in your body and pumps the fluid through your body. Well, I didn't know this, but my lymph system on the right side of my leg was shutting down, and it wasn't functioning properly. Well, I had an infection on my leg, I think 16 times, and then it formed into stage 4 lymphedema, which put a mass on my leg and kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger to where I retained water so bad and fluid so bad that it got that mass got to be about 100 pounds at times whenever it was filled with fluid. Well, the fluid had nowhere to go. It started going into my abdomen. Now match it with a perfect storm. I'm eating terribly, okay? Eating, stuff, you go to a meal, you don't realize how many calories you eat. If you go to a restaurant, you could consume 1,800 calories at one meal at some of these restaurants,
Easy.
So I'm doing that, and then my lymph system shutting down, and everything started coming to here, and everything just formed, and I gained 280 pounds in 18 months, Bradley.
300 pounds? Nearly 300 pounds?
18 months.
That must have taken a toll on your frame, your body, your energy, your life.
My body, I couldn't, travel as much. Got lymphedema. I was in the hospitalized 10 times, almost died twice. I died a month from, I had an allergic reaction to an antibiotic, got Stevens-Johnson syndrome, had blisters 90% of my body, and every time I'd walk, they would burst. So what happened after it was all said and done, I got that, and then I almost died because I went septic too. The infection went into my bloodstream. Had 104.9 fever. My white blood count was 26,000. They brought ICU to me, and the nurse said, it's not looking good to my wife. And I made it through. I mean, God has more plans for me than not, and I never thought about it. And so what happened was I gained my highest weight I got to was 687 pounds is where I got to. I was still functioning. I mean, it's amazing. I'm a walking miracle. I have no other health issues. My blood sugar is perfect. My heart is great. My blood pressure is great. But all because of my lymphedema and the weight, and it's not good for your weight-bearing bones. So I tried losing weight. I tried everything under the sun. But this is a result. My 687 pounds of billboard of poor choices, that when I go into the school, obviously I have a character flaw, okay? Everybody do that, write you off or judge you that, obesity, an obesity person's lazy, grumpy, frumpy, everything that's going on. Well, that's not me. I consider myself a jolly fat man. I don't, care about what people think of me. Be quite honest. At times I do. The judgment was terrible. People had written me off already. And I got to that point to where it was sort of a dark period in my life. I just wanted, to die. I was, hoping I died. And, my mother passed away 5 years ago. So here's the turning point. Now, I went and I did a video on my Facebook page, facebook.com/I am Sean Mulroney. I did a video, one of my first videos. I said that obesity has become my friend and my enemy because you never get victory over something until you face and embrace it. And I said, everybody has a 680-pound problem. The difference between mine and yours is that you can see mine and we can't see yours. So that resonated with people. And I started thinking, okay, if I'm going down this pathway of obesity and things that I was doing and everything that I was experiencing, that all of a sudden, 5 years ago, here's what happened. I had a bad hospital experience. I had a nurse that dehumanized me in front of everybody. I had doctors that were dismissive and trying to do every test under the sun to figure out that I had something else wrong than what it was. And it was a bad experience. So That time I was in the hospital. I got out. I had an incredible therapist that was working on my leg for lymphedema therapy. And her name is Leslie. She said to me, she looked at me, she said, Sean, she says, you are an inspiration no matter what size you are. She says, but you're trapped. You could do so much more if you, it was a reality check, you know, Bradley, is what it was. It was a reality check that I'll never forget. So I got out of the hospital. I gave up soda and I gave up fast food 5 years ago. So I had a steady thing that where I am the choice, my consequence is because of the choices whenever I was a kid. The tragedies of my adulthood were born in the thought patterns of my youth. My bad eating habits, you know, my bad system that I put into my body, and boom, here I am today. So 5 years ago, here's what happened. Gave up fast food the first year, gave up my pop, started drinking water. The next year was eating incredibly. The next year, I put everything together. I started working out and doing a little bit of more steps and stuff like that. The fourth year, I started everything. I got a Fitbit. I started eating right. I started exercising. And then the final thing, in January 14th, I started out with my new trainer, Brandon Glore, who changed my life. He never worked with anybody my size, but he was willing to take me on and work with me. And Brandon Glore has changed my life in a big way. And on January 14th, I started my workouts. I go to the gym twice a week. I am 2 pounds away from my 100-pound weight loss since January, have lost 100 inches from my head down to my ankles. And what I did, Bradley, that nobody wants to do it.
Just hold up. Yeah! No! No! You got this! 100 pounds! Come on, Sean! Yes! You're still there! Awesome! Good. Carry on, man. Carry on.
And I go, and that's, I mean, you've cranked me up, Bradley. I mean, seriously, this is incredible. This is incredible. And so Brandon, that's right.
Beautiful.
Oh, awesome.
Beautiful.
So I did this, and you know, people have lost weight and been from where the situation that they were in. They weighed 600 pounds. I had a friend that weighed 760. He's down to 240 right now. And what happened was, you know, that they was the ones that reached out to me, and I always tried to find a trainer, and everyone would write me off. Nobody wanted to work with me until Brandon Glore. And
what?
Yes, he took me on. So what happened was, when it was all said and done, he took me and I started working out. And most people show their after effects after they lose the weight, right? They don't want to show it, all the, you know, their body and how they look, because they're afraid to judge or how they look.
I'll do that. I'll do that right now. Hold on. Check there. Look, here we go. This is a normal. Hold on.
Oh, man.
I gotta work on that.
Belly dance. He's doing a belly dance. You know, we should start, brother. We need to start a belly dancing competition.
We'd come in first place, brother. We'd come in first place, but then you know why? You know why, Sean? Because people like you, people like me, people that's watching, brother, they're all heart. They're all heart, buddy, and they're stardust. Right. And the story that you've got and the smile that you've got right there on your face, I tell you, it sends shivers. You know, I said to you, I've been visited twice today, third time right now. Right now, Sean, been visited. So your trainer, okay, has changed your life, okay? Yes, so you've got a lot of people thankful for Brandon. Your page that you've got up about obesity has got hits like 50,000, 25,000, 100,000, million hits.
4 million. It's reached 4 million people since January 14th. 4 million.
4 million people.
Yes.
And you've got 4,000 or 5,000 people connected now on this site. You are taking obesity in the openness to a whole new level. And I've got to say this because, you know, listen, you know, I commend you for reaching out and supporting the entrepreneurs as well as the old generation. Mike Allison has just said, you know, energy, total energy, and everybody will go through challenges in their life. This is the thing about adversity. It's like a gambler. A gambler will only ever tell you when they win. Oh, I won today. Right. They never tell you when they lost. The same as the people you're saying, you know, you show these body fit images, Very rarely someone will say, "Look at me," and they'll say, "Hey, look at my stomach. Look at it."
That's
That's
right.
it. That's my before. In 2 months' time, I come back and I show you, hey, a 37-year-old man that's got shape. But we're not afraid. We're not afraid to say that. You're not afraid to do that. Not only are you going through an admirable situation on obesity, please do visit. Please do visit the website, the Facebook website, which is I am Sean Mulroney. Please do visit. Most important. But Sean, let's jump back now, back to Teens of America, right? You are on top of everything else and the challenges you've had for your life and losing 100 pounds. Get in there, you big sausage. I'm loving that. Teens of America. Yeah, bad boy. That's the Popeye. You got it. With Teens of America. Boom there. You are changing lives and you're bringing a heart with it. My respect goes out to you. Tell me more about the radio. Tell me more about the radio show. The radio show, you've got iTunes, you've got all these podcasts. I've seen your studio online, the brand new studio. And I think earlier we discussed your new studio now. Is it the Medici Media Space, right? You're now based down there for the broadcast zone. And your broadcasts are, it's Monday night, isn't it, your broadcasts?
Monday 7 to 9, correct, Central, yes.
Okay, so you've got Teens in America, right? How can we, Shirley Connolly's just come on, how you look does not make the person. What is on the inside makes you. Shirley, 100%. What do you say to that, Sean? What do you say to Shirley?
Shirley, you know what? We always judge a book by its cover, and we got to stop doing that. Shirley, that's the truth bomb right there. And that's what I'm doing. I have humanized obesity is what people are saying about me. I have knocked the stigma off that I have hundreds of trainers reaching out to me all over the world, and they are showing my videos to their clients because one of the videos I did is my dreams are bigger than my excuses. Yes. Because I don't want to work out. I mean, I don't want to work out tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock with my trainer. I just don't. My muscles hurt, but I have to go through pain to get out of pain. And if people would realize that what I have on the inside, and a story. Let me say this story too. This is just talking about. My wife and I, my trainer Brandon is teaching me. It's a lifestyle change. It's not a diet. It's not a try it. It's a live it. I live it. I have to change and get that word diet out of my vocabulary. So what happened was my trainer, Brandon, says, hey, whenever you're done working out, 20 minutes after you work out, I want you to eat something. And so what he did is there's a McDonald's there, and I don't eat fast food. I don't. But I went there. He says, I want you to get a chicken wrap, with the honey mustard or barbecue. So I get a grilled chicken wrap with honey mustard. And whenever I do this, I take that, and my wife and I, we drive over there and we order that chicken wrap. And that day she ordered a cheeseburger. Okay. When she ordered the cheeseburger and they made that order, I get laughs because people see my body, all of a sudden they're smirking. And what I want to do is I want to get a T-shirt sometime. Is if you keep staring, I might do a trick. That's what I'm going to get as a T-shirt. And so that's what I'm going to do that sometime. And I even have to hand my camera, my phone to somebody. I said, hey, if you want to keep looking, just take a picture. It lasts longer. If you want, people that want. So I'm fine with that. I like joking, and I turn my people like that into friends is what I do. So what happened whenever I went there was these young, maybe in their late teens, early 20s. They were all coming after. One was looking at me, and then all of a sudden there was like about 4 or 5, looking at me, and they were all snickering. So I know they were looking at me because, I'm big, obviously. So they don't know my heart. They did not know that I just came from the gym, working my butt off, sweating, fat guy sweating, burned 600 calories in a half an hour and just got done with the battle ropes, got done, doing an extensive, high interval intense training. And Brandon did that, I did everything. He's worked me out. I mean, I was standing when I first did my workouts about 7% of the time. He had me standing now 45% of my workouts. So I'm a work in progress. But they didn't know that I just came from the gym, that I was sweating royally. I was the one. So they were sort of snickering because here's what they said. They said that they were looking at that he got the cheeseburger and she got the chicken wrap. So what people automatically do is they automatically think that they draw a conclusion because they've never been in my shoes. So they were laughing at me, not knowing I came from the gym and that I was the one that was eating the grilled chicken wrap. So people don't know until they know. And what I want to do is get a shirt. Is that now I'm down 100 pounds, I'm down 150 pounds, I'm down 200 pounds. So people don't understand it, but I'm in there to make a difference, and I want to change the face of obesity. And now I have people that are morbidly obese that are all over the world. I can't even begin to tell you. They're reaching out to me and saying, "Man, if you can do it, I can do it. I'm going to start eating right. I'm going to start working out in my home." And I help them get started in their household. They can't go to the gym. And a majority of people that are obese hide inside the shadows of their home, inside of the shadows of obesity. So what I'm doing is I'm going to pull them out of the darkness with my story and put my butt out there to keep me accountable so it gets them going. So there's no excuses.
Yeah, that's inspiration right there. That's inspiration right there. And you know what? We all judge. We first look at something and we judge it. I don't know whether that's appetite, a need for what we like, what was pleasing on the eye. But every time we judge an individual, it doesn't matter whether you're the most wealthiest, successful, intelligent person in the world, or whether you're coming out of poverty and hardship and challenges, middle life. We all do it. We look and we judge, and we look at someone and think, oh, lazy sod, and we think, oh, he's got tattoos all over. Oh, look at his ear. And it's only when actually you look past what you first see do you become to know somebody. And I do this thing in coaching and training where if I'm sitting talking to somebody and they're closed off, they're in denial, they're not looking past, I go like this to them. I say, let me get the camera right. I say, what do you see? I said, I said, what do you see? I can normally do it. It's like my spot. Let's do it like that. I said, what do you see? And they always go, oh, I can see your two fingers. I said, no, what do you see? I said, yeah, you're waving two fingers. I say, no, what do you see? Oh, I see you. Absolutely. What we first see is right in front of us. Actually, what we should be looking at is right behind it. It's only when you get behind it do you actually get to the truth, the real person.
Yes.
And if you can get past what you first see to the real person, not only are you going to find that there's a shining person sitting behind Mulroney, but you're going to learn something about yourself and you in the process, and you're going to become a more enlightened, enriched, and heartfelt and heart-centered individual that takes time to not judge, but to get to know somebody. This is what we've been doing tonight with Sean Mulroney. Sean's an inspiration. He's the founder of Teens of America. Sean's got ambitions and aspirations to take this global. He's helping obesity over there in the United States. He's helping teens go from suicide to public speaking and radio shows. He's an absolute inspiration. We've got about another 3 or 4 minutes before we end our interview this evening. I want to thank some people for joining in. Shirley, thank you for your questions. Mike Allison, Mary Paul, and also there Gary Burton. Thanks, Gary, for joining. Teresa DeCode, thank you. Julian, excellent. Thank you guys for all joining in. Those are the guys that's been brave enough to post the question online. I hope that you've taken something worthwhile from tonight's interview with Sean Mulroney. There's an opportunity to do something in the UK. Okay, teens of America, teens of the United Kingdom, teens of the UK, teens of the UK. This is something that can be done. And I think if you hook up with the right individual that's got the right coaching skills, the right ability, the right systems and process, this could be something great. I am totally honoured, humbled, and proud to have interviewed you today. And as a dear friend of mine, Marina Nani, would say, at a company called Radio Works World, you are stardust. And I'd like you to meet this lady at some stage as well, to hook up Marina Nani and the network and the movement in the United Kingdom, what's going on. She's now going global. I'm very privileged and honoured to be a part of what she's doing. I feel so at home of what she's doing, how she helps people, how she builds and coaches and sprinkles stardust It's like an amazing feeling that you're Stardust as well as Marina was saying, you're Stardust. And I just want for you to give a couple of minutes of finals of how people can get in touch with you, how UK kids can even approach you in Teens of America to talk to you. Just sign up. Let's find out about your websites, your Facebook pages, how they can contact you. Let's get an email address out there, and let's make sure that you're totally connected. So this is me saying Phil Mulroney, over to Sean Mulroney. This is how you're going to contact Sean, get in touch with him, communicate, hook up, and let's get connected. Let's make this stuff happen.
And hey, by the way, I just want to tell a lot of people are like messaging me now, Bradley, and they were saying that I just got pummeled with messages. They were trying to comment, but they couldn't, and they got on. So I just wanted to apologize to every one of you, and I just got, I think, 22 messages of people trying to, want to comment, but they didn't. And I'm sorry to every one of you, Anthony, Erica. If you're listening right now, try to comment. I'm sorry. Everyone else, Jordan. Let me see who else was trying to comment but didn't. And this guy, I can't. But it's maybe a glitch or whatever. We're in the UK right now, but how you get a hold of me? teensofamerica.net. Facebook. I'm all over Facebook. My public figure page, of course. Bradley put that up there. I am Sean Mulroney. Teens of America. We're on there. Instagram. The Instagram is, Instagram.com/the obesity revolution. That's my Instagram account, which is, taken off. And Twitter, I am Sean Mulroney, across the board. And whatever you need, however I can help and add value to you. And if you have any insight you want to help expand the mission of Teens of America, help expand the mission of, what we're doing as far as for obesity. I can say this. I'm allowed. I can't say too much. We are in the midst right now of a reality show that I will be doing, and it's looking good. It's going to follow my life. Shout out to my team, EG Media Group, Scott Reagan, who, you got to hook up with him. The man's incredible. Shu, who is my executive producer on my show, Ted Sloan, who does all production, television wise, and Carrie, Aaron, Spanky. You all are amazing. I couldn't do it without you. And then, of course, Dave, Body, who you talked to, and Jesse K, and all were co-hosts. But I mean, Bradley, it's amazing. I couldn't do what I did if I didn't have the right people in place. And now it's getting ready to go even more so to help other people in order to do what we're doing. And I love every one of them. And, my Shu, who's taken our show to another level, he's like a production magician. I mean,
right.
He just is. He's just been doing an incredible thing for us. And I'm inspired by people, and you, Bradley, you inspire me. Your spirit is infectious too, and just how you get charged up, and we get charged up together. I could do this all day because iron sharpens iron. So that's what I feel like right now. We just sharpened each other up, and that's what friends do, and that's what people do to each other. Is rising tides floats more ships. So I want my tide to rise to put other ships out there and influence people and take them to another level. So that's what I'm. And you having me on, Bradley, this is a highlight of my day, my friend.
Thank you. Humbled, mate. I'm certainly humbled. It's been a real pleasure listening to you share your story, your thoughts and emotions, your open and your honesty, and the smile on your face. It's touching me beyond words. I've got to tell you, you've made my day. I have to say, we spoke earlier. We connected last night. I was one with Jesse. I got to bed, I think, at 2:30 this morning. I was up at 6 this morning. Been going flat out all day. I'm going to go in, bless, and see my lovely missus now and give her a kiss. She's probably passed out. She works for the NHS here in the UK, facilities management, so she'll be up at 5 in the morning. Yeah. So we've been like ships that pass in the night the last few days. But the most important thing in this world is love, The most important thing in this world is being somebody that gives before they take. And if we can all start doing more of what you're doing and what we're trying to achieve in terms of heartfelt, heart-centered entrepreneurship, sprinkling our stardust around the world, then, I think things change, and I think there could be a shift, because more people are struggling now than ever before. And the people that are struggling, the ones that are inspired to want to make a change, if they come together and they can be the real themselves, the real you, and they're comfortable coming forward and saying, this is who I am, warts and all, like you've done, the world's going to start changing. So total love, respect, and thanks if I was there with you right now. Everyone always says, Bradley, always hugging and kissing everybody. I do. I can't help it. If I was with you right now, buddy, I'll be giving you a bloody big UK hug, and I'll be giving you a lovely big kiss on the cheek, and I'll be saying high five, well done. So you've made my day, actually. Totally humbled. From the United Kingdom, this is Bradley Chapman interviewing the most magnificent Sean Mulroney. What a star, what an inspiration, what an interview. Woo! And, this is,
hey, Bradley, real quick before we go. Hey, listen, before we go, everybody hates my singing voice, but you know what made me think about it? What the world needs now is
yeah, we could do a singing together. I mean, that probably
everybody will run, everybody will leave.
I tell you what, I think a final story. We can all learn something. This, me included, because I've had my challenges. I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress. I know who I want to be, what I want to be, and what I can become. I have my own demons. We have angels and demons. So there's two monks, right, and they're walking along the riverbank outside the monastery. And as they're walking along the riverbank, these two monks, they're walking along. They come to a bend, and at the river, there's a woman standing there in a wedding dress. And the two monks look at this woman in the wedding dress, and she's crying, she's in tears. And the two monks say to her, what's the matter, lady? She says, it's my wedding day, and I can't cross the river, I can't cross the river. Without hesitation, one of the brother monks bends down, picks up the lady, takes her across the river, puts her down on the other side, comes back across the river, and joins his brother monk. They start walking back to the monastery. And the other brother turns to the brother and says, brother monk, why did you, we're not allowed to even look at women. Why did you pick that woman up? And the other brother monk turned round to his brother monk and said, dear brother monk, he said, I left that woman at the other side of the river. Why are you still carrying her? So we can all let go of some of the things. If we want to, if we choose to, let go, find yourself, be the true you. At times you're going to be great, you're going to be inspired, you're going to be amazing. Other times, be quiet, rest, recharge your batteries. Be the true you. Exactly what Sean Mulroney's done this evening. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Mike Allison just said, woohoo! Thank you from me. And we're going to say, Sean's going to say thank you and good night as well.
Thank you, every one of you. Love you. You inspire me, everyone that has tuned in and will tune in case you missed it. And Bradley Chapman, you are an inspiration, and much love to you, my friend. Much love. Much love.
Back to you. So this is Sean Mulroney and myself signing off from the UK and Missouri in the US of A.
Yeah.
Teens of America. Okay, guys, we're going to sign off. It's good night for me and good night from Sean. God bless. Thank you for watching and taking time. Have a great evening wherever you are. Be all you can be. Good night. God.
Bye-bye.